Today we will be covering Lesson 18-1, which is on similarity criteria. Our lessons will be split into 5 separate sections: 1 to 2, question 4, question 5, question 6, and question 7. Let's take a look at our first introduction. It says, a land boundary dispute exists between a national park and a bordering landowner. Surveyors have been hired to determine land boundaries and help settle the dispute. It says the surveyors will use similar triangles to find measurements. You learned in Unit 2 that it is not always necessary to use the definition of congruence to determine if triangles are congruent, because there are congruence criteria you use to show two triangles are congruent. In a similar way, you can look for criteria for showing triangles are similar. Number 1, recall that two figures are similar if and only if their corresponding angles are congruent and their corresponding side lengths are proportional. A. Use a ruler and a protractor to draw two non-congruent triangles, triangle ABC and triangle DEF, with angle measures of 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and 75 degrees, and then complete the table. B. Do you think 3 pairs of congruent angles guarantees that triangle similarity? Justify your response. C. Use a ruler and a protractor to draw two non-congruent triangles, triangle QRS and triangle XYZ, with angle measures of 45 and 60 degrees. Then complete the table. D states, without measuring, could you have predicted that the triangles in item 1C would be similar, and justify your response? E is on the top of the next page. It states, do you think 2 pairs of congruent angles guarantee triangle similarity? And the last part of that states, number 2, the investigation you did in item 1 suggests that the angle-angle similarity postulate for triangles. State the postulate. So we will be working through questions 1 and 2. So I want you to take about, let's go with 7 minutes to draw your triangles and determine whether you think that the triangles are similar or not. Go ahead and pause your video now. All right, so the answers have partially been provided. I did not put the links for my AB, BC, AC, or DE, EF, FD. But what we should have come to realize that when we set these up by corresponding sides over corresponding sides, the ratios should have been equivalent. So they should have all reduced down to about the same number. Now we'll talk about the possibility of a slight error in our answers, but that could be rounding. It could have been maybe we didn't have our ruler lined up exactly when we started to measure. So there could be a slight, and I mean like 0.10 off, okay? Just a slight error. But we should have found them pretty much equal. It says, do the 3 pairs of corresponding angles guarantee the triangle similarity? Yes. Corresponding measures of the angles are congruent, and the lengths of the corresponding sides are proportional. Now, part C tells us let's only use 2 congruent angles from one triangle to the other. Can we prove that the triangles are similar? Yes, because the ratios will be equivalent. Again, didn't give you the answers here because they will vary depending on your triangle. And if we take a look, it says yes, because I know that 3 pairs of angles are congruent. The triangles are similar. If we have 3 pairs of angles congruent, we know the triangles are similar. Well, if I know that a triangle has 2 angles over here, now these are not drawn to scale, okay? But if we have 45 and 60 here, and then say I have another triangle here, and say this is 45 and 60 as well. Now again, not drawn to scale. What's the measure of this angle right here? Well, remember all angles add up to 180. So we've got 105 there. So that would make this 75. I have 105 here, so that would make this angle 75. So would these triangles be similar? Yes, because all 3 angles are congruent. Since there are 2 pairs of congruent angles, I know that the third pair is also congruent. It's because of the sum in a triangle being 180 degrees. Let's take a look at part E. Part E states, do you think 2 pairs of congruent angles guarantee triangle similarity? The answer here would be yes. The corresponding angle measures are congruent. And the lengths of corresponding sides are proportional. Number 2. Number 2 says, the investigation you did in item 1 suggests that the angle-angle similarity postulate for triangles. State the postulate. The postulate states, if 2 angles in one triangle are congruent to 2 angles of another triangle, then the 2 triangles are similar. On to the next set of questions.